This video is on the ED166 Student Disciplinary Offense Collection. Today's topic is using the ED166 application. This presentation is intended for those who will have direct contact with the application and will be responsible for reporting the data to the State Department of Education. My name is Corinne Felder, and I'm a consultant with the State Department of Education. Among other things, I manage the collection and analysis of the discipline data. The best way to reach me with questions is via email. I encourage you to bookmark the ED166 help site, as it's a great resource for this collection. This session topics covered today will include logging in, an application overview including manual entry, uploading a file, error correction, and certification. There are a few acronyms you should be aware of before we get started. LEA is the local education agency, also known as your school district. PSIS is the public school information system. Many of you may also work on this application. If you're not familiar, this is the application where all public school students are registered. SDE is the State Department of Education. SACID is the State Assigned Student Identifier. This number is generated in the PSIS registration module. And finally, SIS. This is your local student information system, such as Administrator Plus, Infinite Campus, PowerSchool, etc. One more item you should be aware of is the best practice procedure if you're uploading data. First, you'll extract data from your student information system. When you upload it, it will either have errors or be error-free. If the file contains errors, it's recommended you fix your source, your SIS, extract a new file, and upload again. Many users choose to correct their data file rather than the source itself, but this could lead to repetition of the same error and inconsistent data. The ED166 is a legacy application. Please visit www.csde.state.ct.us to log into any of our legacy applications. Click on the Enter button and use the same first-level username and password you would to access any of the other applications such as PSIS. If you do not have the username and password, please contact our IT office at 860-713-6610 and ask for the Enter button password. One item I'd like to point out is to always include SDECT / before your username. We'll be launching into the live application now. If you haven't already done so, I encourage you to download or print the PowerPoint that accompanies this session. There are screenshots of each page of the application, which might be useful if you wish to take notes. You may also wish to print the first page of the user guide. This one is specific to the ED166. There's only one set of credentials per LEA, so your LEA may share it as you wish. This password will provide the user with full access, so if there's one person at each school that has the password, please be mindful that they do have the ability to change data in other schools within your district. So proper training is important. Note that I will only release the password to those listed on the district profile. This is the home screen. Note the collection year drop-down in the middle of the screen. It will always default to the current collection. If you wish to review or download a prior year's data, you can make this selection here. I'm going to skip to the district profile page, and then we'll visit the rest of the screens in order. The district profile screen may automatically pop up on occasion when you visit, as it's a way to force LEAs to update their information. There's often a lot of turnover from year to year and in between collection periods. Remember that the individuals listed on the screen are the only people I will provide the password to. Your LEA can share the password beyond these three people if you wish. Once an individual is listed on the screen, they will automatically be on my email list, so they will receive collection reminders, updates, and any other pertinent information. New incident. If you wish to manually enter a new incident, click on New Incident. You then must enter the date of incident and then either the SACID name or partial name. You'll be prompted to select a record, and then the data entry screen will open. Note that the demographics section at the top is pre-populated based on the data in PSIS registration. If you notice something in this top section is incorrect, it must be updated in PSIS registration, not in the ED166. Enter data in the appropriate fields as needed and click Save. If any required information is missing, you'll be prompted to complete those fields and will not be able to save until you do so. Edit incident and delete incident. Edit and delete both work the same way. Input data into any of the search fields and matching records will be displayed. You can then edit and delete as needed. Batch file upload. Unless you are a very small district, the bulk of your data will be entered via batch upload. First, you'll extract a file from your local SIS using your state reporting feature. If you're unsure how to do this, please contact your vendor. Note that all of your prior uploads for the current collection are listed on the screen, as well as links to 2 reports for each batch. Let's upload a sample batch. I'm going to click on Browse, locate the file on my machine, click Open, and then Upload. Now we wait. An error report will pop up. It popped up off screen, so I'm going to go ahead and drag it onto our screen. Not bad, only 3 errors. Now recall that the best practice is to correct your local student information system, extract the data again, and then upload again. For the purpose of today's demonstration, I will also make a correction within the batch. This first error is one that often throws people off. SACID and date of birth does not match a student actively registered within your district. It looks a little mysterious too, as no student name is listed on the error, but all of the other errors do have student names. So when no student name is listed, that means that the SACID is incorrect or the student was never registered to your LEA. So let's take a look. In this case, I would look up the student by SACID in my local student information system to find the student's name. I would then check that name in PSIS registration. So I'm looking in my demo SIS on my end, and I see that the student's name is George Jetson. So I'm going to go over to PSIS. If you're not the person who handles PSIS, you will have to work with that person in your LEA to resolve certain errors like this. I could see that the student is actively registered in my district, but the SACID begins with 653, not 643 as listed on my error report. So now I know that that SACID is wrong. So if I open my batch, again, this is not the best practice. However, for training purpose, I just want to show you how you could locate a record if needed. You'll notice that the batch does not contain student names. So if you're looking for a record within your batch, you want to consult the user guide to see which column is which. The user guide tells me that SACID is column A. So then I would search column A for the appropriate record and update it as needed. Now let's take a look at the next error. Fred Flintstone, date of birth is invalid. Once again, let's check PSIS. So we have 2 Fred Flintstones. The one beginning with the 3 is the one in our batch. It looks like. So now let's take a look at the student's date of birth. In PSIS, the student's date of birth is listed as 7/14, but on the error report, it was listed as 7/15. I'm going to double check my local SIS to see which is correct. And in this case, let's say the data in PSIS is correct. So once again, I would have to update my batch. If I were updating the batch directly, I would again reference my user guide to see that the date of birth is in column B. Now, in some instances, the date in PSIS could be the incorrect date. In that case, you or your PSIS manager, if it's not you, would have to update PSIS registration, and you'd leave your ED166 batch as is. Now for the third error, primary incident type is required. In this case, I would go back to my SIS, take a look at what's going on, do any research to complete this field, enter the appropriate value, re-extract, and upload again. Now you might be wondering why I didn't just make these changes with the Edit Incident menu. Records can't be updated or records can't be edited in the system until they're accepted by the system. In the case of a batch upload, the batch must be error-free for the system to accept the records. Even if there is only one error in the batch, all of the other records will not transfer into the system until there are 0 errors. Let's upload our batch again. This time I have a different sample. And we could see in yellow, the file has been successfully uploaded. So that's the process you would repeat until you're error-free. Now that the data is error-free, we could search for it, we could edit it. It's also populated into any of these built-in reports. Now, before we move on, I want to mention that the error report maxes out at 500. 500 errors generally indicates a systematic problem, such as a missing or invalid required field. In that case, you don't want to look for each of those 500 records within your batch, since your batch may contain more than 500 records. Instead, you generally need a global change for every record in your batch. When you have a high error count, it might be useful to take a look at the errors by type report. So I'm going to click on one that has 500 errors. Again, it opened off screen. And I could see that there's quite a few bullying errors. So I would look at that field for every record in my report, not just these 481. Moving along through our menu, our next option is to download our incidents. You could either download a specific batch, or you could download all of your incidents. These are all of your successfully uploaded records. This could be useful once your collection is complete if you'd like to retain a copy of all of your records reported. Another download available is the code lists. Let's say you'd like to do an analysis on your end. You could download your data set and then the incident types or any of your other codes. Next on the menu is reports. There are a number of reports that can help you clean your data and review it for accuracy. The Phase 2 video will go over the data cleaning process in detail. Case management will be removed as it's an item no longer used. Data exceptions are populated during Phase 2 and will also be covered in the Phase 2 video. And then we have our certification screen. This screen looks more complicated than it is. You'll visit this page to indicate completion of each phase. For mid-year and Phase 1, anyone with access to the collection could check the appropriate box, indicating that all of the records have been reported for a specific reporting period, which is July through January for mid-year and February through June for Phase 1. Records can continue to be added or edited even after this box is checked. Phase 2 certification requires the superintendent's password and should only be input by an administrator. Phase 2 certification attests that the data has been reported in full and has been reviewed for accuracy. In Phase 2, no additional changes can be made unless the superintendent's code is removed from my end. We already went over the district profile. Next is the help link. This will bring you to the help site mentioned at the beginning of the video. And exit, of course, will exit you from the application. I hope you found this application walkthrough beneficial. If you have any questions, please email me and I'm happy to help. Thanks for watching.